I was thinking about teaching with technology the other day, and I found myself having an internal dialogue between Mark the teacher and Mark the consultant. This is the result of that conversation. Mark the teacher and Mark the consultant were standing around a virtual classroom one day when Mark the teacher started to talk about teaching with tech. You see, Mark the consultant used the Gather platform to create a digital environment in which people can navigate by moving avatars around. It's a lot like an 80s video game. You can interact with objects to get access to information or websites, and even video conference with others. I'll tell you, Mark, this teaching with tech is quite a challenge. I get tons of questions from my students. Sometimes I feel like a chicken with its head cut off, answering and helping them. I hear you, Mark. Whether it's online in a hybrid situation, or simply using tech in class for an activity, the organizational side of things can get pretty complicated. Have you heard of the RASE model? The what? RASE? No, I haven't. RASE stands for Resources, Activity, Support, and Evaluation. It is a way for teachers to include elements that can help to make a technology-based lesson engaging for students. The goal is to give students more autonomy using available resources, well-designed activities, and multiple means of support. More autonomy means that we can focus then on guiding them and helping those who really need it. I mean, sure, I want my students to be autonomous, but this online thing is really complex. There are so many moving parts. If I could just get everyone on the same page at the same time, it would help me quite a lot. You know, Mark, I've understood that in teaching, the more time you spend planning how you want to teach, the less time you spend explaining while you are teaching. That makes sense. The better my prep, the more my classes flow. I can deal with that. Where do we start? Let's start with resources. Resources are the documents, videos, websites, formula lists, etc. that students need to use to be successful in your course. Resources help the students learn. What kind of resources are available to your students? I have an online folder with lots of helpful resources. There are videos, websites, PDFs, Word documents, and students have free access to it all. Great! How did you organize this folder? Well, it's a bit messy. I do a lot of reading and research, so I just dump stuff in that folder and give my students access to it. I think that students need a clear roadmap to help them navigate the information. Keep that folder for yourself and create a new one for students. You can make different subfolders based on themes, actions, or categories so that the students can move forward in their learning without your help. That makes sense. If I can point to a folder instead of a document, students might use the resources more often and go fishing for answers in the right places. Yes, that is true. Also, don't worry about having documents, videos, and websites that repeat information. Students will have an option to look at one or all of them. Next, let's talk about activities. Not all activities are made for online teaching and learning. I sure know that. I tried giving a lecture the other day, and boy, it was not very successful. I was able to give it in class, but I sensed that I was losing my online students. I ended up sending them on their way without finishing my lesson. Oh, that's a shame. Whole class activities online although necessary, should be limited in time and scope. Less is more. Creating screencasts is an interesting way to give a lecture on elements of your course that don't really change from year to year. You should try to keep things under 10 minutes. Make a few in a series if you want. You can use the same ones for a few years, which means less planning in the future. There are a couple of advantages to creating videos or flipping your classroom. 1, students can watch them when they want, and 2, they can watch them over and over again. That really helps to maximize your use of the online environment. Okay, that's fine for lecturing, but what about doing their work? It seems like students aren't too motivated to work unless I'm in class with them, egging them on. You can't really supervise each individual student in an online class or a tech-based lesson. You can, however, ask students to fix objectives for the time of the class. If that is daunting for them, give them some targets to meet per class or per week. A Microsoft or Google form can serve as an exit ticket, giving students the opportunity to reflect on their use of class time. It is important to keep contact with students, especially when they are online, and asking for a short response lets them know that you are interested in their progress. I like that. Students report to the form instead of me chasing them. That's right. Once you have leafed through the exit tickets, you can have a quick check-in with those who did not attain their objectives or whose objectives were not realistic. Focus on those who need help and guidance. Cool. Now, there are 2 parts left of the RASE model to discuss: support and evaluation. Talk to me about those. Support is often associated with a teacher helping a student, but sometimes that is not always possible. Students can also help each other. It is a question of setting up a virtual space for that. I suggest a Teams channel or a Google Space. But I can still help them, right? Of course. They can ask you questions directly via chat, and you can set up a virtual space where anyone in the group asks a question. You can answer those yourself or monitor the answers from other students. So the idea is to create virtual spaces for different types of support. That's right. You can also create documents or videos to help them navigate the digital environment. Okay. So, evaluation, what about that? It is best to think of evaluation as evaluation for learning. You want to provide some form of check stop so that students can stay on track or get back on if they have fallen off. What kind of evaluation do you mean? I don't want to spend all my time correcting while I'm teaching, or even worse, after class. I'm with you on that. Learning management systems like Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, or Moodle have rubrics that can be added to a form. Students can actually self-assess. I also recommend that you get feedback from students about the digital environment while you are at it. That will help you to adjust and make things even more effective. This all sounds very lovely, but it seems like a lot of work. There's definitely a learning curve and some preparation. Your aim is to bring students to be self-reliant and to collaborate with others. That may take time, but the long-term benefits for you and your students are worth it. Thanks, Mark. I'm sure other teachers have the same concerns. Who can we contact to answer our questions? Please contact the RASE team at race@race.qc.ca for more information. That's race@race.qc.ca.